Okay, welcome to the OSEHRA VA PALS working group meeting for November 29th, 2017. We are recording and I don't see anybody new joining us, so no introductions unless somebody has something they particularly want to say about themselves that they haven't before. I'm showing the agenda from my screen at the moment, though it's rather sparse and looks pretty much like it did the last time we met 2 weeks ago. But, you know, these things take time. So, I see that George is joining us. George, are you fully here?
I think he's still in process. There he goes.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Hi, George.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Well, we're all ready for you to show us wonderful stuff.
Oh, you are?
We are. So if you can take the talking stick.
Okay.
Share your screen, that would be awesome.
There we go.
Okay.
Google.
So, we are very excited. I don't know how much you covered already. We're very, very excited by the new form.
We haven't told them.
Whoa. Artit, you're on the call? Thank you for sending us.
I hope it's a help.
Oh my goodness.
Huge.
As you will see, these are hugely helpful. These are revolutionary in our work. So one of the first things I did is I put basically the entire zip file you gave us as the original, you know, and labeled it LCAP, and put it on our server. And this is this web service is a way of browsing through the assets that you have on your web that available to the server. It had, you know, basically, so you can call up any of the ones you want. So in particular, a background form, for example, you can call it up, and it will. And this is so valuable. Let's see here. And this is just running as a web server. This is just sending the form as you sent it to the web server, and you know it will, you know, there's no, you know, we don't have that CDI program, so if you click on that doesn't work. But if you make an error, it will. I thought it would. Oh, yes, it did. I just left the. All right, I just made an error and I left the field, and the JavaScript works. Look at this. And if we leave that out, and let's take out something. Let's take this out. Oh, all right. We took it out. We took it out. So we have an incomplete form here, and we go submit form. Look at this. It tells us what doesn't work. So this is so lovely that that the JavaScript that's part of your form does the field edits and gives error messages appropriate to the field right when you leave the field. And when you have all the fields and press submit, it does a required field check, which is something we didn't have. We didn't know what required fields were. Now we do. And that is just fantastic. And this background form worked beautifully. I was so excited that I said, well, let's just add it to our system. So as you remember, we have, if it still works, oh yes, we have our original form, right, that we've been working on, and we call that SB form, and it populates from FileMan, and it does errors, but it does the errors after the fact. I mean after you press submit. It doesn't have the nice JavaScript errors that you have in it, etc. So let's just copy that and put it over here. And so I defined to Vista a new thing called SB Form 2. We can call it on the same patient. And there we are. Running.
That should look familiar.
You know, but it was, you know, if you remember, if you look back over here, that, you know, this guy was retired. This is what came with the form, is these sets of values, right? And if you look over here, it's not those sets of values. In fact, it's these sets of values.
Right out of the FileMan database.
Right out of the FileMan database. So I basically pointed the two background forms to look at the same FileMan file for the patient that you give up here, and it pulls them out and it will actually put them back. So if we, and again, we didn't just to make sure you see, we didn't change any of this. Look at this. That date entry is wrong, so you can't get out of.
But it clears the value.
It clears the value, which is kind of unfortunate. But
we can copy it from the other one. Or there it is.
Oh, is that it? Yeah, that's it.
If we go to the middle tab, the background form.
Well, yeah, but you won't take this format.
No. That's right.
All right, that's interesting. So we got that. I got to fix the format.
24/OCT/. Right.
Now it will take upper and lowercase and fix it for you. The initial upper. So it'll do. It does. So it behaves a little differently. Now if we try to do submit form though, patient race has not been selected. See, we didn't select it. There it is. So for this form here, right, which was valid on our, is stored in the FileMan, and according to the edits we did, it was valid. It was not valid because there's a missing field that was required that we didn't know was required, and that's race. And so we now know that race is required. So we can pick a race, and we could submit the form again, and it accepted it. In other words,
nice.
And here's the fields that it's stored in the FileMan file. Oh, and did it really? Let's see. Let's just reload this and see. Actually, if it really went into the FileMan file, we want to know if it really did. Take a look.
Look at that.
There it is. It did. So our
form and our form are talking to each other through the FileMan database now. Woohoo!
Exactly. Now I've got all this nice debugging stuff, along with along with the fields we recognized and processed into the FileMan file, we now have a number of new fields that are sent by the form that are not processed so far. We don't know about them. We haven't defined any of these fields. All these are not processed. A lot of them. We got a lot of fields here. So we have a lot of examination to do. Why are these not being? Some of them I know they're not processed because they're stored in the FileMan file as multiples or subfiles, and so we haven't subfiles yet. So I know about those. So these here, I know about, but there's a bunch of fields that I don't know about. And some of these may have to do with you said there's a section of the there's a list of there's a hidden list of variables in the middle of it that is unnecessary that your code put out. I saw that. So some of these might have to be attributable to that. But it'll be interesting to find out what they are and figure out why they're not being processed. So here are the ones that are being processed, along with what field number and what file they are in. And here's the raw set of fields we get back. These are really interesting. I'm going to want to understand them better because I think they may be helpful to us. I know they're necessary for ARTID's system to work, but it may be that I could use these fields the same way the CGI process does, and not need to send any parameters. These parameters can go away because they get passed here as part of the form, maybe. So we can look at that. That's one possible thing. So anyway, down at the bottom is the actual what did we get back from the form. So this is way cool. This says that our file process, our form processor works on files on more than one form. That's the big news today. Our form processor works on two forms that are, granted, they're a little similar, like a lot similar, but they're different forms. So the question is, will it work on other forms? So I defined another form to Vista. And it's not SB form, it's SI form. And that's the intake form. Ta-da! There's the intake. Found the intake form, but it didn't fill it out. And if we can go to, let's see, developer tools. Over here, we have this problem. I'm getting this JavaScript error when I try to load this form. Now you say, well, maybe it's your form processor that's doing it, George. So we go over here and we look for intake form. Intake. There's the intake form, and call it up in its raw form. And we get the same JavaScript error. And this is what I'm having trouble with. There's an onload thing that's not working. So ARTID, I wanted to ask you about this.
So I'm looking at that in our system, and actually I get the same, I have the same error. However, it doesn't actually, at least on our system, it doesn't affect the loading of the data. I'm just trying to figure out now why the JavaScript is failing. looks like there's an element that we removed, and then didn't remove the appropriate JavaScript. The JavaScript check on it.
If you could figure that out for us, and either tell us how to edit, how to change the form, or send us a new copy of this, that would be really useful. Because at least on our system, it's preventing any of the JavaScript from working. I just keep getting the same thing over and over again. Look at this. The JavaScript itself doesn't work.
So what you could actually do, I don't know if it's easy for you to fix now, but you can actually just take out that that onload call that's on the body tag, because that thing does some processing on fields that aren't there. So if you take it out, it should be okay.
So just take it. But if I take it out, will other things fail?
No, nothing. Knock on wood, nothing else should fail.
Well, that's a pretty simple answer. I guess we could try that. Whoa. Talk about doing things on the fly.
Yeah, yeah, baby, yeah.
Things on the fly.
Let's cook with gas.
All right. Let's actually do some development here.
That's right. Canned demonstrations, we scoff at them.
Right. Right. Bah! Bah! So I'm going to SSH into our Docker container, which contains the development system. And it's on the cloud, so we can look at it.
Yeah, I'm following along now behind you and Alexis. I got my first Docker instance of Avicenna stood up.
Oh, cool.
It's very exciting. This thing actually works.
Yeah, I love it. Let's see here. No, what do I want to do? I guess I want to go to a different switch screen, like here.
Going to make a copy of Artist's form and edit that one, or what?
What I'm going to do is copy intake form .html to intake form .yak. And then I'm going to edit the HTML in the original. And I'm going to go down to onload. This body onload here. So you say if I just like kind of remove this thing, it's not going to hurt anything, and it's still going to work.
Yeah. So all that does is that there was for our research program there was a set of consent questions, and that just determined if it was supposed to show that section or not.
So it's something we won't need.
Right.
Outstanding. But I wanted to point out the philosophy here. I'm trying to use your form. I'm trying to build a system that uses your form just as like you deliver it to us. In other words, I don't have to do any. I haven't made one change at all in this form. This is the first change I've made at all, and I basically have written a form processing system that that makes all the necessary changes on the fly. Oh, now I think what we have to do is one more thing.
Save it.
Because it looks like we're getting the same thing, right? We got the same error, right? And there's a reason for that. I have to, I don't know. Anyway,
Oh, is it cached?
yeah, it's cached.
For speed.
I thought it was a cute idea, you know, to cache the HTML and stuff. I'm reconsidering that. I may not cache HTML anymore because I have to constantly go do this. You know, anyway, so we got rid of the cache version, so now we should be getting the one without the onload. Ta-da!
Ooh.
No errors. It loaded. And I tabbed away from that and got this thing here.
Yeah.
There's still something undefined that it's pointing to.
I wonder if it would be easier to, I mean, is it the same thing? Is it the consenting again?
So it shouldn't be. I think it's a different problem, but it's rather than try to debug it on the fly, I guess I'll try to fix it in our form and then I'll send you a new one.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you very much. Because as you see, I'll make great use of what you send me. What I plan to do is getting my ambition here is now to go through each of the major forms. These two first, the background one and the intake form first, and then I'm going to go to one of the navigation forms. What would you recommend? I'm thinking of going to the case review form. Would that be the next one to do? Well, I want to have one where I can navigate to the other two ones that I have.
That would make sense to me. I'm not sure that was directed to me though.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, that was directed at you, and I concur. That's probably going to be the way to go.
Case review, but I can't.
Oh, you're looking for the.
What is the case review HTML file called?
Oh, do we not have it?
I'm looking.
It should just be called case review, but
Maybe it's.
Oh, there it is. Case review list files.
oh, case
review HTML.
There it is.
Here we go. Yeah. So I'm going to try to do the background, and I'm going to try to do the intake form, and then I'm going to try to do this case review, and populate it with with a patient. You know, with I don't know. I'll pass the patient on the URL and have that case ID, and populate this stuff. Last name, first name, whatever. Dates. I can do dates. And the type, and I'll be able to have two types. I'll be able to have background and do you navigate to the here intake. Here we go, intake and background, and we'll be able to do. So we'll do, and then we'll make these active.
Right.
And I don't think we'll be able to do this, but we'll be able to do new form and preview. Yeah, so we'll be able to do, you will be able to populate this with intake and with background if it exists. If it doesn't exist, you'll be able to press new form and start a background form, populate it, come back to the case review. Because I think on the background form, you've got to return to case reviews right there.
Right.
That. You'll press on that and you'll get to the case review.
Right.
What is home? Let's see if we can find home.
So home is the main screen.
Let's see if it's home. Yeah, home. Here we go. Yeah, so we should be able to.
The other one.
We should be able to do this too. We'll try after I do the case review. So I'm going to do them in that order. I'm going to first try to do the. I've done the background form. I'm not going to touch that again for a little while. I'm going to work on the intake form, but then I'm going to go and do the case review form, and then after the case review, I'll try to do home, so that all the buttons on the background form will work. You'll be able to return home, be able to go to case review, you'll be able to submit form and submit form pending, and on intake, similarly. You have to go to case review, return home, submit form. So I think that would be, so that's what I'm going to do.
Beautiful.
That is what I wanted to demo. And thank you, Ardit, for working on giving us a new, giving me a little help on this intake form.
Not a problem.
That'd be great. And then I'll have all kinds of other questions at some point, maybe next week. I'd like to talk through a little bit the what you put in what you put in the header form, what those variables mean, and whether we can use them or not. So let's see, actually, I'll show you what I'm. Maybe we could ask some questions right now.
Oh, sure.
This is not formatted in a way that I want to. I don't want to go through it here. I guess where's a good place? I think here. These guys, the FGA key, the FPC name, FPC date, this encrypted name, and this one I can figure out. This is probably the institution.
Yes.
So, so this is probably VA Phoenix, right? And the administrator is the name of the person who signed on. I didn't see on the home form they signed. There's a place to log on. All right, and then the host and the study ID. And this, so this is stuff that you pass. I could pass this stuff from the case review, for example, to my processor as part of the post, and not need to pass things in the URL.
Right, and that's exactly what we do. So I guess just to clarify, this form that I gave you is the output of. So we have essentially a program on our server that takes these form files and then wraps them with the header on top, and then it also puts in these these fields that start with an F at the bottom. That's why they're not in the data dictionary.
Right.
And the FPC name is the name of the person that created the form.
Oh, okay, cool.
The C time is the creation time. The FPF name, that's essentially the primary key of the form inside the database.
Of this instance of the form?
Right. Of the data that's stored in this form, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And then,
that's very useful.
And then the M name is then the person that last modified the form. The M time is the last modified time. And what else? This FP pend indicates whether this is a pending form or not. And we may have to discuss that in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, the whole topic of when do we have temporary study IDs, and then make them into a permanent study ID. I noticed there is Java. I read the JavaScript, and there's all kinds of like warnings that you're about to do something. There's warnings that are regarding changing from a temporary to a permanent study ID. So that whole transition in the work, that's kind of a workflow transition of when does a temporary ID get assigned, on which screen, and then when and how do you pick the final ID, and when does that interaction happen? It looks like it may happen on the intake form. That whole discussion, we don't have to do it now because I think I have to learn more by just reading. But
and you and I should talk about it too, because I had a bunch of early discussions with Ardit about it, and I have a bunch of stuff on that.
Great, good. So I'll talk with Rick and get caught up, so you don't have to repeat yourself. But then that'll be good to have a discussion then about that stuff, the pending stuff.
What about that first field? Is it FGA key?
So that is it's essentially the authentication token that gets passed around once you log into the system.
Ah, it's your login token. Yes.
Yeah. So our system doesn't use cookies or anything like that to store that token. So that's why we have to pass it around. Yeah.
Right. You're using it like a session ID. We're familiar with that.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Okay.
And that gets generated when you log on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So it's a temporary one. It's not a permanent key.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah, the breaker does something similar.
Yeah, it's like an OAuth key, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it. All right, cool. Those are basically the questions I had. Anybody have questions for me?
Do you have questions, Joel? I saw he came off mute, so I thought maybe, but maybe not.
George has just dazzled all of us. It'll take us a little while to take this in.
I mean, what a big step forward for our testing and development to be able to run them side by side, field by field, and see what the differences and similarities are.
This is just terrific. This is just absolutely terrific, and it allows us to move on to the new forms.
Exactly.
And I think that's fabulous. Because we got to get the forms running so we can get onto reports and other things that we need to also look at.
Right.
But yeah, so I want all these buttons to work, and to have at least the background form and the intake form working, from the originals.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm my near-term goal in the next month, actually, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you, George. That's fabulous.
My pleasure.
Back to you, Linda.
Of course, just as I took a bite of cracker.
Well, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So, anything else we want to talk about regarding progress since our last meeting? It doesn't sound like it. I know that George was just talking about what we'd like to do in the next month or so.
Yeah.
Anything that we want to add to that?
Well, I've got a question. Has anybody else followed Alexis's instructions from that VA PALS OSEHRA blog post and installed themselves a Docker image of Avicenna yet?
I have, but I kind of did it before it was finished. I kind of was the alpha tester.
Well, that's very cool. Dom, have you given it a shot yet?
It's pretty cool and not as hard as it might be.
What was that, Dom?
said yes. I actually did it quite a long time ago.
Excellent. Okay.
Anything else, guys, or we just?
I think we wrap up early today.
Yeah. So, anybody have anything else they want to talk about? Questions or new business? Excellent. So next week, same time, and new URL, a very small one. I posted it in the chat for this, and I've also either sent a post out or will shortly. Will shortly with on the OSEHRA group to give people the new short URL. So other than that, everybody have a great day, and we will talk to you next week.
Thanks, Linda. Thanks, George.
Thanks, Linda. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
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 Bye.